Good morning. Certainly good to be able to join you this morning for our Bible study time. Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday and is looking forward to a new year, time of growing our faith, time of serving God, and time of looking forward to our home in heaven. We're going to continue this morning in the book of Genesis, where we've been for a while now. We'll continue throughout this quarter in the book of Genesis. And today we're going to be talking about one of the great rivalries, you might say, that we find in Genesis between brothers. You know, Jacob and Esau, the sons of Isaac. And we're going to talk about that and recount some of the scripture that we've probably studied at various times in the past, but we want to make some applications for our lives today. And we will begin here in a moment. We're going to be jumping around a little bit in Genesis 25 and then also in Genesis 27. A couple of different passages we're going to be talking about this morning. By way of introduction, where we left off last week, Isaac being about, 37 to 40 years old, somewhere along in there, Scripture reveals to us that he was not yet married. He had not yet found a wife. So we talked about how Abraham sent his servant back to his homeland to find a suitable wife for Isaac, because he did not want the wife to come from the land of Canaan where he was dwelling. And we see how that turned out, and everything worked out wonderfully, and Rebekah became Isaac's wife. The problem was, or the issue was, that like his mother, Sarah, Isaac's wife, Rebekah, Scripture reveals, this is in Genesis 25, verse 21, Rebekah was barren. So we know that the promise that God had made to Abraham back in Genesis chapter 12 would be fulfilled through his lineage. Well, the situation now with his son Isaac taking a wife, and she was not able to have children. So Scripture reveals that this is Genesis 25, verse 21. Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Our author points out here, he says, the brevity of Genesis 25 makes it seem as if the pregnancy began shortly after Isaac and Rebekah married. In reality, it did not occur until 20 years later. And he cites verse 26 there. We know that Rebekah's pregnancy was unusual, and what made it unusual was that she had twins, 2 babies. And as our author points out, we don't read about that in Scripture anywhere else or up to this point. And Genesis 25, verse 22, talks about how the children struggled within her. That made Rebekah concerned. So she asked the Lord about the matter. Verse 23 of Genesis 25, the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. One people shall be stronger than the other, and the other shall serve the older shall serve the younger. Now, whether Rebekah fully understood the Lord's explanation, she gave birth to twin sons. And again, prior to this point, Scripture reveals no other record of twins. The problem that arose from that would be about the birthright. You remember in Deuteronomy, I think it was, the firstborn would get a double portion of the inheritance. So when you have twins, again, there'll be a firstborn. And one of the commentators says this, and so talking about the two boys or two twins, and this fighting begins, a struggle to be the firstborn, to drive to obtain the blessing of God, as the participants slug it out between themselves to be first in line for divine blessing, as if they could overcome sovereign design by human vigor. I'm sure that's not what was going on between the two unborn children, or as they were being born. But by nature, one has to precede the other. Let's pick up our reading in Genesis 25, and we'll read verses 24 through 34. The point being made here, they're talking about twins being born. Actually, we'll go through 28, 24 through 28. So when her days were fulfilled, talking about Rebekah, for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, and he was like a hairy garment all over. So they called his name Esau. Afterward his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. Verse 27, so the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Emphasizing here the unusual nature of Rebekah's pregnancy, verse 24 there declared, so when her days were fulfilled to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb. The first was named Esau. His name means hairy, and reflected how the child was red all over his body like a hairy cloak. The younger's name was Jacob. Jacob means supplanter or heel grabber, as he took hold of Esau's heel at birth. One of the commentators says this, baby Jacob was grabbing baby Esau's heel as he followed him out of the womb, as if he was trying to pull him back in and take precedence. Incidentally, the name Jacob has a further meaning of he deceives. While it's doubtful that the meaning was intended by the parents, as the story goes on, we will see that this aptly fits Jacob's character. You know, it's interesting how many people, many Bible accounts, folks are named and what they turn into. I don't know if that's by happenstance, but it is an interesting point. Although they were twins, Jacob and Esau were vastly different. So in other words, we would not call them identical twins as many have today. They're two different individuals. The Bible records Esau as a skillful hunter, dwelt in the field. Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. The record also records that Esau was impulsive and vindictive, focused primarily upon the moment. Conversely, his brother Jacob was a schemer who positioned himself for future success. Whatever rivalry, our author says, existed between Jacob and Esau was amplified by parental favoritism. As we just read, Jacob favored Esau because he liked the food that he prepared, and Rebekah favored Isaac. You know, as parents of multiple children, I guess it's just human nature that we're going to gravitate towards one over the other. But we know that we can't do that as parents. That we have to show equal treatment, equal love, equal respect, and all those things to our children, because we don't want to artificially make them think that one is better than the other. But we see that's a problem. And we see here in this biblical record how that was a problem. It's interesting that one of the commentators points out this struggle between Jacob and Esau was indicative of a broader theme that flowed throughout Genesis, the struggle between brothers. Other examples of this include Cain and Abel, back in chapter 4, Ishmael and Isaac in chapter 21, and the sons of Jacob in chapter 37 that we'll get to at some point. Nevertheless, he wrote, out of the struggles, God's will was accomplished. The point is not so much that the struggles were necessary for the accomplishment of God's will, but rather that God's will was accomplished in spite of the conflict that we see. So we talk about the twins being born. Let's look at verses 29 through 34 and talk about the twins' clash. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to his brother Jacob, please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, sell me your birthright as of this day. And Esau said, look, I'm about to die, so what is this birthright to me? Then Jacob said, swear to me as of this day. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank, arose, and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. The birth narrative, our author says, of Jacob and Esau introduces the rivalry characterizing their relationship. This rivalry was amplified here when Esau sold Jacob, or exchanged his birthright for a serving of Jacob's stew. Jacob obviously knew the impulsive tendencies of his brother. For when Esau requested to eat some of the stew, Jacob offered to comply, only if Esau gave up his birthright in exchange. Given the importance of the birthright, Jacob's demand should have ended their negotiations. It was too high a price to pay for a bowl of stew. The firstborn is entitled to a double portion of their inheritance, Deuteronomy 21, verse 17. He also assumed a place of prominence in the family. The fact here that Esau gave up his birthright so quickly, flippantly, is shocking. He said, I'm about to die. What good is it going to do me if I'm dead? I think that shows the impulsive nature of his character, not thinking about the long-term consequences. Esau was oblivious to what he had because he was preoccupied with the way he was. Jacob was occupied with obtaining what Esau had and planned to capitalize on the way that Esau's character was. The section here ends by saying this, thus Esau despised his birthright. It didn't mean that he hated the blessing he was in line to receive. It means he failed to appreciate and protect it. Our author here points out, interestingly, the New Testament talks about the time when Esau sold his birthright likens it to the sin of fornication. In your private study, go back and read Hebrews 12, 16, and 17. Those who give up their virginity before marriage or break their marriage vows for one moment of sexual gratification behave like Esau, impulsive, not thinking about the consequences of his decisions, his actions. We need to be careful about that in our lives as well, don't we? Let's look at point number 3, conspiracy. We'll shift over to Genesis chapter 27, and we'll read verses 1 through 13. You know, as you're turning there, let's think for a moment about this word conspiracy. It's a conspiring of two or more people together to deceive, isn't it? And we know the trouble that can occur when people conspire with one another. So we're going to read about a biblical account of conspiracy here. Genesis 27, verse 1 beginning. Now it came to pass, when Isaac was old, and his eyes were so dim that he could not see, that he called Esau his older son to him and said, My son. And he answered, Here I am. Then he said, Behold, now I am old, I do not know the day of my death. Therefore please take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me. And make me savory food such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt game and to bring it. So Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, saying, Indeed I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me game and make me savory food, that I may eat it, and bless you in the presence of the Lord what I command you. Bless you in the presence of the Lord before my death. Verse 8. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I command you. Rebekah talking to Jacob. Go now to the flock and bring me from there 2 choice kids of the goats, and I will make savory food from them for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall take it to your father, that he may eat, and he may bless you before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Look, Esau my brother is a hairy man, and I am a smooth-skinned man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be a deceiver to him, and I shall bring a curse on myself, and not a blessing. But his mother said to him, Let your curse be on me, my son, only obey my voice, and go get them for me. So we see here Isaac planning to, in his old age, planning to declare the blessing that was rightfully Esau's as being the firstborn. But having taken Esau's birthright, one might think Jacob would be content. This is not the case. Rebekah here, who favored Jacob, heard Isaac's plan to provide a special blessing to Esau. So Rebekah conspired with Jacob and to steal the proposed blessing that Isaac, who was going to declare that on Esau. The text does not say why it was necessary for Esau to prepare Isaac a meal before he could be blessed, but it did indicate this was the reason Isaac favored Esau over Jacob, verse 28 of chapter 25. One of the commentators says that he supposed that Isaac's actions on this occasion to be similar to those of Esau when he sold his birthright. He says Isaac's desire ran counter both to the prophecy given to Rebekah back in chapter 25 and to the bitterness that Esau had brought into his life. Clearly, Isaac's appetite overruled his better judgment as he intended to act counter to God's revealed will. See, God had indicated that it would be through Jacob that the blessings would come. Before Esau could do as his father requested, Rebekah alerted Jacob to the situation, and then the conspiracy began. Jacob here was willing to do as instructed, but he questioned his mother whether he could carry this out, because he wasn't Esau. But his mother had an answer for that as well. They would put skins on on Jacob, and complete the ruse, so to speak. And we see here, Scripture even reveals that Isaac was old and his sight was leaving him. With Rebekah's assurance, Jacob carried out the plan. Although Isaac was hesitant, he unknowingly blessed Jacob and said, Therefore may God give you of the dew of heaven of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed will be everyone who curses you, and blessed will be those who bless you. That's Genesis 27, verses 28 and 29. So we see in the process of time, the conspiracy worked. It was successful in passing the blessing to Jacob. So let's think for a moment as we bring this to a close about the applications. Esau's impulsive behavior here stands as an example to avoid. He lived only for the moment, seemingly, didn't he? Many people today, we would say that they live only for the moment. He thoughtlessly gave up or sold his birthright. We must think soberly about the consequences of our behavior. In the New Testament book of Titus 2, verses 11 through 14, paraphrasing there, he says, the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men, but it teaches us to live godly, soberly, and righteously in this present age. What does that mean? Yes, we have salvation through God's grace and through our obedience to God's will, but we have a responsibility to live righteously, soberly, and godly, don't we? That means we won't be making rash, impulsive actions that are contrary to God's will, that we won't willingly enter into sinful situations. He says here, individuals who cavalierly yield to temptation mirror the behavior of Esau. Those who wish to please God instead must seek the way of escape. We talk about there, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. God will provide a way of escape when we are faced with temptation to sin. Also, we see here, from an application perspective, God's ability to accomplish His will, despite the obvious flaws in the family of Abraham, is encouraging. Neither favoritism, jealousy, schemes, or lies could thwart God's intentions. We should rejoice that He is able to use imperfect people to accomplish His perfect plan. That gives me encouragement, doesn't it? Because I recognize that I'm an imperfect person. We don't have to be perfect. We need to strive to be godly and strive to the perfection of God, but we know that because we're human, we won't obtain that. But yet, God's will can be accomplished through us, and that's encouraging. He closes here with the scripture recorded in Daniel 4, verse 32, where Daniel observed that the Most High, talking about God, rules in the kingdom of men. And that continues today, doesn't it? Thank you for this opportunity to join us this morning. Thankful that I'm able to be on the porch again today. The weather's warm enough that I can do that. But we look forward to more Bible study in the future. As always, if anything that we've said or talked about raises a question or you don't fully understand, please reach out and we'll be happy to clear up those matters and study the Bible together where we have the clearest understanding as we can. Let's pray as we close. Holy Father, thankful for this beautiful day, for the opportunity to study your word once again. We're thankful for it. We're thankful for the encouragement that it gives us, thankful for the fact that it will strengthen our faith as we study it and apply it in our lives, that we may be better Christians in your service. Thank you, Father, for loving us and providing all that you do. We ask you to bless those who are physically sick today, and we also ask you to bless those who may be spiritually sick, that they would have time and opportunity and desire to come back to you. We give you thanks for all things through Christ, your Son, and our Savior. Amen.